Hey everybody, so today I wanted to share with you guys my October TBR. I'm sorry this is a little late. Obviously, we're well into October now, but my family just got over COVID, so finally bringing this to you. I haven't read any of these books because I've been saving them because I know as soon as I start, I'm going to start flying through these. Now, if I don't get to all these books in October, completely fine. Obviously, there's many more months in the year, but for October, I wanted to only read horror. If you've been on my channel for a little bit, you know that horror is my favorite genre. I already read a lot of it, but throughout the month, I do give myself breaks. You know, I'll read some romance, some nonfiction, some YA, like whatever. And this month, I am strictly sticking to horror. So I put together some books, some that you've maybe heard of and some that you might not have. So I'm just going to share with you guys the different books that I have. And the only book that I do not have to show you, which I just got the email that it shipped, so it shouldn't be too much longer, but it is Little Eve by Katrina Ward. And she is one of my favorite authors of all time. She does horror exceptionally well. This is actually not a new book from her. It's a reprint, but I am so excited. I've never read it, so I just feel like a Katrina Ward book in October, I couldn't ask for anything more. So this one will be coming to me shortly, but that is one that I've had on my list for quite some time. And then the next one that I wanted to mention is my book club read. So I have a book club on Discord and we vote, and this was this month's winner. This is for the horror one. We also have a kind of creepy category, but as far as like the actual horror read, we are doing Take Your Turn, Teddy. Don't mind all the different marks on here. I don't know what I spilled on this, but apparently something. This book is about a little boy, his family, and some really sinister things that happen. I honestly don't want to tell you much more because I don't even know where this story is going. We're about halfway through. If you can see that, yeah. So pretty much halfway through, there's been a pivot in the story. Some of us are hoping that it picks up a little bit. I heard really amazing things, as did a lot of the other people on my Discord who also like horror, about this book. And I will definitely say the first third of it, I was like super into it, very creepy, but it's kind of hit a lull a little bit halfway through. So we're hoping that it picks back up. I mean, this cover, I mean, come on, it's very creepy. So that's our book club read. And then the next one, I'm sure all of you have read. I'm probably the last person on the planet to have not read this book at this point, but it is Verity. So I had pre-ordered the hardcover copy that also has an extra chapter as well. I know it's very hit or miss. There's people who love it and there's people who hate it, but I feel like the TikToks that I've seen of it have been pretty creepy. So even if it's just a creepy time, that's completely fine with me. I also find Colleen Hoover just super easy to read. You know, some of her books are not like the best thing that's ever happened to me, but I have a good time, and that's all I want out of reading. I'm not really here for anything else. I try to have my expectations low, and as long as I'm having fun and enjoying what I'm reading, which with Colleen Hoover is most of the time, then I'm a happy camper. So I'm very excited to read this. I think it's what I'm going to start off with because, like I said, Colleen Hoover is just super easy to read to me, so I know I'll fly through it, and I know that will motivate me to get to even more books. So the next one, I'm sure, is no stranger, but it is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. This is technically a YA book. Obviously, it's about Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. That is one of our favorite movies in our house. My whole front porch is decorated with Nightmare Before Christmas for Halloween. Big fans, big fans in this house. So obviously with a whole book about Sally, I'm definitely going to give it a read. And then I also got the Barnes & Noble exclusive. I did take the sticker off, but it actually has some extra content in the back about her recipes and stuff. I thought that was really cool. So there's that one. Something else you've probably heard of if you're in the horror genre is Dead Silence. This is one that I was specifically saving for October for quite some time. I started to read it sometime this year, I think around the time it actually came out, but I decided to put it aside. It's one of those books where it needs a bit more attention because this is basically like a haunted house story but out at space. So there is definitely some like lingo and language and storyline you have to follow because we're in a very different setting, but it's well worth it. I've heard nothing but glowing reviews and how awesome this book is, so I'm very excited to get to this one. And like I said, I just wanted to wait for me to be able to give it the attention that it deserves. The next one, and this one is probably the one I'm most on the fence about because since getting this book, I have heard how this author is maybe a little bit more of a beginner horror author, but I mean, I feel like I could still have a good time even with that. Like I said, as long as I'm having fun, I don't really mind. It's Darcy Coates' The Haunting of Ashburn House. This is something I've heard quite frequently about. Pretty good haunted house horror from what I've heard, but like I said, some people just kind of chalk her up to a beginner horror author. So we'll see how I feel about it. And then the last book out of the group of ones that you guys might have heard of is The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. So this author, I have a couple of her books. I have not read anything yet, but her covers always pull me in. Total sucker for them. So apparently this is supposed to be like a Frankenstein retelling, and I'm very excited about that. I have not read any of those classics, Frankenstein, Dracula, any of those, but a retelling, I'm fairly interested in. And I did start to read this, but I just kind of felt like the vibe would be better in October. However, somebody that I really like, a content creator on TikTok who also does a lot of horror books, she was saying she was kind of disappointed by this book, so I'm hoping I have a good time with it. And then I have a few books here that maybe you haven't heard of yet. 2 are brand new releases, and the other 2 are like the ones I'm looking forward to the most, so I think I'll do the new releases. Although this stack of 4 books right here, very excited for. The very first one on top, It Rides a Pale Horse. Anything that references the 4 horsemen, immediately I'm into. I don't know why, I am so interested in those. And obviously with the cover, so simple but draws you in. It's about siblings. One of them is kidnapped, the other one has to do certain things to save them, and honestly, it doesn't sound that sinister or that horrific, but I just feel like the vibes this book is giving off, I'm interested. I need to see what this is about. From a new star in horror fiction comes a terrifying novel of obsession set in a small town filled with dark secrets. And then the next new release is Jackal. So excited for this one. When I heard the blurb, I was like, absolutely. The blurb says Liz Rocher is coming home reluctantly. As a Black woman, Liz doesn't exactly have fond memories of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, a predominantly white town. Liz has grown though. She can handle herself. Plus her best friend is getting married, so she braces herself for a weekend of awkward passive-aggressive reunions. But she wasn't expecting that on the night of the wedding, somewhere between dancing and dessert, the newlywed's daughter, Caroline, would disappear, leaving behind only a piece of white fabric covered in blood. As a frantic search begins, with the police combing the nearby woods for Caroline, Liz is the only one who notices a pattern: a summer night, a missing girl, a party in the woods. She's seen this before. Keisha Woodson, the only other Black girl in Liz's high school, walked into the woods with a mysterious man and was later found with her chest cavity ripped open and her heart removed. Liz still shudders at the thought that it might have been her, and now, with Caroline missing, she's sure that it's not a coincidence. As Liz starts to dig through the town's history, she uncovers a horrifying secret about the place she once called home. Children have been going missing in these woods for years, all of them Black, all of them girls. Come on, tell me you didn't get chills. I am so excited. This cover, stunning. Again, it's like simple. There's not a lot going on here. There's just a few elements, but it just draws me in. So these 2, very, very excited for. Honestly, I think this will be number 3 that I read, number 4 that I read, and the first 2. So excited for these. So I would say my favorite subgenre of horror is possession. It's the one that will actually get me scared, whether it be horror movies, books, whatever. It is the one where I can really it really creeps me out. So I guess I'll go with this one. This is the second one I think I'm going to read. It's called The Doctor's Demon. So it's basically about a child psychologist, and she kind of turns into an exorcist because she meets a little girl who needs one. And from there on out, she's performing exorcism on children, which just is creepy in and of itself. Possession in children, that's very creepy. But it says, years later, Hannah has grown comfortable exorcising the demons of her patients until she meets Lucas. Whatever is inside of Lucas is far more powerful than anything she has faced. The denizens of hell are angry with Hannah, and they have sent one of their leaders to destroy her. I also recognize this publisher, which also does a lot of horror books. So I am very, very interested in this. I feel like it could go either way, but like I said, I love a good possession story, so I'm hoping that that's as good as it sounds. And then the next one I actually got because the cover itself just reminds me of the movie, but I have also, since buying this book, seen people on TikTok equate the movie and this book together. So one of my favorite horror movies of all time is The Dark and the Wicked. It is such a great horror movie. It is subtle but strong. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like Hereditary in the sense where it's not like a bunch of jump scares. It's more just like unsettling things that are happening, and you just are very uneasy the whole time. That is how The Dark and the Wicked is. It is also a possession movie. I can't recommend that movie enough. Definitely check it out if you're looking for a very good horror movie. When I saw this book, it was giving that same vibe. And then I've also, like I said, heard content creators say that The Exorcist House is actually very similar in the sense of, like, if you like this movie, read this book type of thing. So got this off of Amazon. It has a very shiny cover. I'm trying to show you the house in there. It says, in the summer of 1994, psychologist Daniel Hill buys a rustic farmhouse nestled in the rolling hills of West Virginia. Along with his wife and teenage daughter, the family uproots their lives in Ohio and moves south. They are initially seduced by the natural beauty of the country setting. That soon changes when they discover a hidden room in the basement with a well boarded shut and adorned with crucifixes. Local legends about the previous owner being an exorcist come to light, but by then all hell has broken loose. So this sounds very promising. Not only do I love a good haunted house story, you guys have heard me say that a million times, I'm a broken record about that, but also the fact that it's giving possession vibes, and also I love like secluded homes. I actually read last month Old Country. If you're looking for another good horror book, I think it'd be really good to read right now. It does go through the different seasons, but I feel like fall is one of the most intense ones that it focuses on. So it'd be a really good book to read right now. But that couple had actually bought a house, or a ranch, I guess I should say, out in the middle of the mountains. And I just love that kind of vibe. They had neighbors, but they were miles away, you know? So they had to use like horseback to go down to their neighbors and stuff. And it just is such a good setting. You're not like in the middle of nowhere, but you are definitely secluded from a lot of society. You know, the closest store is like 45 minutes away, that kind of thing, where, you know, if you need help, it's probably not going to come right away. West Virginia isn't a long drive for us either. Been there several times. It is a gorgeous state. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So everything about this book, I am so excited for. The setting, the vibes, the potential. I'm so excited. But that is everything for my October TBR. I hope this gave you guys some inspiration. I will be linking the different things that I mentioned in the description box below. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any spooky books picked out for the month of October that you're really looking forward to, or maybe that you've already read. And if you stuck around for the entire video, why don't we put the pumpkin emoji? Thank you if you hung out with me the entire time. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.